articles from 25 to 28 come under right to freedom of religion, freedom of conscience and free profession, practice and propagation of religion. Article 25, it says that all persons are equally entitled to freedom of conscience and they have the right to freely profess, practice and propagate their own religion. And the implications of this are freedom of conscience, freedom of profess, right to practice and right to propagate. Freedom of conscience. This is an inner freedom of an individual to mold his relation with God or creatures in whatever way he desires. Right to profess. This declares one's religion, beliefs and faith freely and openly. Right to practice. Performance of religious worship, rituals, ceremonies and exhibition of beliefs and ideas. Right to propagate. Transmission and dissemination of one's religious belief to others or exposition of the tenets of one's religion. This means that a person has a right to express his views and beliefs of his own religion, but he does not have a right to convert another person to his religion. And also forcible conversions impinge on the freedom of conscience that is guaranteed to all the persons. Freedom to manage religious affairs. This comes under Article 26 and according to Article 26, every religious denomination or any of its sections, it shall have certain rights. Those are right to establish and maintain their own institutions for their religious and charitable purposes, and also right to manage its own affairs in the matters of its own religion, right to own and acquire a movable and immovable properties, and right to administer such a property in accordance with certain law. And Article 25, it guarantees rights of individual. But Article 26, it guarantees rights to religious denominations of their sections. Supreme Court said that the religious denomination, it should satisfy three conditions. One, it should be a collection of individuals who have a system of beliefs. Secondly, it should have a common organization and it should be designated by a distinctive name. Under the above criteria, the Supreme Court held that the Ramakrishna Mission and the Ananda Marga, these are the religious denominations within the Hindu religions. And it also held that Aurobindo Society is not a religious denomination. Freedom from taxation for promotion of a religion. This comes under Article 27. So Article 27, it says that no person shall be compelled to pay any taxes for the promotion or maintenance of any particular religion or religious denomination. We can also say that the state should not spend the public money collected in the name of tax for the promotion or maintenance of any particular religion. So this provision, it prohibits the state completely from favoring or patronizing or supporting one religion over the other. This means that the taxes can be used for the promotion or maintenance of all religions. This provision, it prohibits only a collection of tax on the name of religion but not a fee. This is because the purpose of collecting fee is to control a secular administration of religious institution and not to promote or maintain any religion, so that a fee can be levied on pilgrims to provide them some special services or safety measures. Similarly, a fee can be collected on religious endowments for meeting the regulation expenditure. Freedom from attending religious instruction. This comes under Article 28. No religious instruction shall be provided in any educational institution wholly maintained out of state funds. This means that any educational institutions or school which is maintained completely by the state funds should not teach or preach their religious instructions. And this provision, it is not applicable to the educational institutions which are administered by the state, but it is established under any trust or endowments which requires imparting of religious instructions in such institutions. A person attending any educational institution and they are recognized by the state, or if that person is receiving any aids or any funds from the state funds, and he shall not be required to attend any religious instructions or worship that institution without his consent. In case if a person is a minor, then the consent of his guardian is necessary. Article 28, it differentiates between four types of educational institutions. They are institutions, those which are maintained completely by the state. And in these institutions, religious instruction is completely prohibited. And institutions which are administered by the state but established under any trust or endowments. In these institutions, religious instructions are permitted. And institutions that are recognized by the state and the institution that receive aid from the state, this both permit religious instructions on a voluntary basis. Cultural and educational rights, it deals with Article 29 and 30. Protection of interest of minorities comes under Article 29. Article 29, it states that any section of citizens residing in any part of India having a distinct language, script or culture of its own shall have the right to conserve the same. It means that any section of the citizens or any section of the people, those who are residing in any part of India, apart from their language, script, or they may have their own culture, but still they have the right to conserve and protect their own language and culture. Every citizen shall get the admission into any educational institution which is maintained by the state apart from his religion, race, caste or language. Right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions. This comes under Article 30. Article 30, it grants certain rights to minorities, whether they may be religious minorities or linguistic minorities. All the minorities, they should have the right to establish and to administer their own educational institutions of their choice. The compensation amount fixed by the state for compulsory acquisition of any property of a minority educational institutions, it should not restrict the right guaranteed to them. So while granting an aid, the state should not discriminate any of the educational institutions which is maintained and managed by a minority people. And the protection under Article 30, it is confined only to minorities, whether they may be religious or linguistic minorities, and it does not extend to any section of citizens under Article 29. And also remember, the term minority is not mentioned anywhere in the Constitution. Right to constitutional remedies. The Declaration of Fundamental Rights in the Constitution is said to be meaningless, or we can say it is useless and worthless until and unless the fundamental right is provided with some effective machinery if suppose they are violated. And hence, Article 32 states that the right to constitutional remedies for the enforcement of the fundamental rights of an affected citizen. So we also can say that fundamental rights, it should be protected. So for that rights to get protected, fundamental rights itself has a fundamental right to protect itself. And that is why Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, he called Article 32 as the most important article of the Constitution. An article without which this Constitution would be a nullity. He meant that if Article 32 is not present in the Constitution, then the Constitution would be empty. The Supreme Court has ruled that Article 32 is a basic feature of our Constitution, and therefore it should not be taken away even by the way of constitutional amendment, so that it contains 4 provisions. The right to move to Supreme Court for the enforcement of the fundamental rights that are guaranteed, and if they are being violated, one can move to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court shall have a power to issue the directions or orders or writs for the enforcement of any of the fundamental rights. The writs issued includes habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari and quo warranto. Parliament can empower any other court to issue the direction, orders of all kinds. The right to move to Supreme Court, it shall not be suspended except the President. The President can suspend the right to move any court for the enforcement of fundamental rights, that too during the national emergency. Writs, their types and scope. The Supreme Court under Article 32 and the High Courts under Article 226, it can issue writs of habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari and quo warranto. So what is this terms? Habeas corpus. In Latin word, it means to have the body of. That is, it is an order, it is issued by the court to a person who has detained another person to produce the body of the latter before it. The court then examines the cause and legality of detention. It would set the detained person free if the detention is found to be illegal. The writ of habeas corpus, it can be issued against both public authorities as well as private individuals. The writ of habeas corpus, it cannot be issued where the detention is lawful. If the proceedings are to be taken under the court or under the legislature. Mandamus. Mandamus means we command. That means it is a command that is issued by a court to the public official asking that person to perform his or her official duties that he has failed to perform or he might have refused to perform. So this writ, that is mandamus, it can be issued against any public body or a corporation or an inferior courts, a tribunal or a government. Let's see. And this writ, it cannot be issued against a private individual. Prohibition. Prohibition means to forbid. Prohibition, it is issued by higher court to lower courts or from higher court to tribunals. This is to prevent the lower courts or tribunals from exceeding its powers that it does not possess. So mandamus, it directs activity, whereas prohibition, it directs inactivity of the work. The prohibition writ, it can be issued only against judicial and quasi-judicial authorities. It is not available against administrative authorities, legislative bodies, and private individuals. Certiorari, it means to be certified or to be informed. This is issued by the higher courts to a lower courts or from a higher courts to a tribunal, either to the transfer of a case that is pending with the tribunals or the lower courts, or to squash the order that is given from the lower courts and the tribunals. So this is issued on the grounds of excess jurisdiction or lack of jurisdiction, or if an error occurred in a law. Unlike prohibition, which is only preventive, certiorari, it is both preventive as well as curative. The Supreme Court has said that certiorari, it can be issued even against administrative authorities, those who are affecting the rights of the individual. Like prohibition, certiorari, it is not available against the legislative bodies and the private individuals. Quo warranto. Quo warranto means by what authority or by what warrant. Quo warranto is issued by the court to enquire the legality of claim of a person to a public office. So, this totally prevents illegal practices of public office by a person. So, this quo warranto, it cannot be issued in cases of ministerial office or private offices. Article 33 in the Fundamental Rights states that armed forces and fundamental rights. Article 33, it empowers the Parliament or repeal the fundamental right of the members of the armed forces, paramilitary forces, police forces, intelligence agencies, etc. The objective of this provision, the objective of Article 33 is to ensure a proper discharge of their duties and the maintenance of discipline among them. The power to make laws under Article 33, it is conferred only on Parliament and not on state legislatures. Any law that is made by the Parliament, it cannot be challenged in any court on the ground of controversies occurred on any of the fundamental rights. Article 34 states that martial law and the fundamental rights. So this provides for restriction of the fundamental rights while a martial law is in force in any area or within a country or within a specified territory of India. So this empowers the Parliament to repay any government servant or any other person for the act that is done by him in connection with the maintenance or restoration of the order in any of the area on condition where the martial law was in force. The Parliament can also validate any of the sentence that is passed and punishment inflicted or any other act that is done under martial law in such areas. The act of indemnity or the act of repay that is made by the Parliament, it cannot be challenged in any court on the grounds of contravention of any of the fundamental rights. This concept of the martial law, it was borrowed in India from an English common law. And the expression martial law, it has not been defined anywhere in our constitution. And it means military rule. Martial law means military rule. It refers to a situation where the civil administration is run by military authorities according to their own rules and regulations framed within ordinary law. Article 35 states that affecting certain fundamental rights. Article 35, it lays down the certain powers to make laws that give effect to certain specified fundamental rights, which can be vested only in the Parliament and not in the state legislature. This provision will ensure that there is uniformity throughout the India with regard to the nature of fundamental rights and punishment for their infringement. Finally, remember, Article 35, it extends the competition of Parliament to make a law on the matters that are specified, even though some of the matters may fall within a sphere of state legislatures. See you in the next session with some other interesting topic. Thank you.